Assalamu alaikum, I'm your host Advocate Sethi, and today we are going to discuss sources of Islamic law. The Islamic law is referred to as Sharia. Islam has given the most comprehensive legal system to mankind. Islam has its own personal, civil, criminal, evidential, and international law. Here are five sources of Islamic law: the Quran, the Sunnah, Ijma, Qiyas, and additional sources of law. The first source of Islamic law is the Quran. Since the text of the Quran is held to be the very word of Allah Almighty Himself, it almost goes without saying that the Quran is not only a source of Sharia but the primary material source. However, one must remember that, unlike Western legal systems, the Sharia makes no distinction between religious and civil matters. It is the codification of God's law, and it concerns itself with every aspect of legal, social, political, and religious life. No description, however, can fully capture the great importance of the Quran to Muslims. Objectively, it is the foundation and framework of Islamic law and its primary material source. The next source of law is the Sunnah. It is the second most important source of Islamic law. It comprises the practices and precedents set by the Prophet Muhammad himself. The authority of the Sunnah is derived from the text of the Quran because the circumstances of each revelation were thought necessary to correct interpretation. It was imperative to gather as many traditions as possible about the actions of the Prophet to fully understand the Quran. The Sunnah clarifies the ambiguities of the Quran. The Quranic injunction is sometimes implicit. The Sunnah makes it explicit by providing essential ingredients and details. The details of the acts of prayer, fasting, pilgrimage were all illustrated by the Sunnah of the Prophet. Again, it was established by the Sunnah that a killer cannot inherit from the property of his victim. Thus, for answers to many problems to which the Quran offers no solution, jurists turn to the second source of Islamic law. For according to the Quran itself, Prophet Muhammad was not only in possession of the book, he was also endowed with wisdom. The third source of law is Ijma. Ijma represents the third source of Islamic law, which is more like delegated legislation. It is defined as the consensus of the jurists of a certain period over a religious matter. It is considered a sufficient means for action because the Prophet of Islam said, "My community will not agree on an error." A good illustration for the principle of Ijma occurred right after the death of the Prophet. No guidance was available on who would now be the political leader. The election of Abu Bakr to the post of caliph by the votes of the people was the first manifestation of Ijma. Today, there are many schools of law in the Muslim community. For them, the doctrine of consensus was a source of harmony. The authority of Ijma for legal innovation is very limited, and that is why it ranks lower than the Holy Quran. Next one is Qiyas. Qiyas is essentially a tool of interpretation and is not a mean to alter the existing law but can only be used to find a legal principle in conformity with Quran and Sunnah for a new factual situation. Ijtihad means individual reasoning. It involves both the knowledge of the rules of Islamic law and the exercise of one's judgment. Even qiyas would be impossible if jurists were not allowed to apply their own reasoning. However, this source of law also has its weakness. It ranks below because it derives its authority from the Quran. Human reason was not to be exercised independently but rather in accordance with the divine will as manifested in the Quran. Ijtihad has been a controversial subject in Islamic history. Once the schools of Islamic law has been firmly established, the prevailing opinion was that the privilege of ijtihad was restricted to the great scholars of Islamic law. But qiyas ijtihad is just a matter of past now. The last one is additional sources of Islamic law. In its early stage, Islamic jurisprudence was heavily inspired from prevailing customary law. Example given the practices of the caliphs, the decisions of the judges, and the traditions of the people. But even then, Quran acted as a mentor, guiding the people. For instance, Caliph Abu Bakr made alms payment compulsory in the light of the Quran. The Qazis, in the essence of judges, did equity by seeking guidance from Quranic verses, and it was under verse 3 of Surah Nisa that the customary right of unlimited polygamy was curtailed only to a maximum of 4 wives. Thus, the supremacy of Quran as a primary Islamic source got fully established in that epoch. Remember me in your prayers. Stay safe, stay tuned. Keep subscribing the channel Fakhre Wakalat. Your host, Advocate Sethi.